explorers, and welcome to the very first Q&A episode of Unbroken podcast. This Monday edition of the podcast going forward is going to be me answering your questions about getting rid of unwanted habits, about letting go of an overeating habit, any kind of other habit, and since this is since this is the very first episode, though, there's nobody listening yet. So I thought that what I would do is think back to the questions that I had at the very beginning of exploring this understanding, and then answer those questions. And moving forward, you can submit your questions, and I'll be happy to answer them on a future podcast. You can submit those questions to alexandraamor.com/question. And there's a little form there you can fill out, and I'll respond and maybe answer your question here on a future show. So for today, I'm going to go back in my memory and think about one of the most pressing questions I had at the beginning of this exploration was, how is exploring this understanding, the inside out understanding, different than any other method or approach that I've tried over the last however many years? For me, it was about 30 years of trying and failing to fix an overeating habit until I came across this understanding. So the way that I'm going to use to explain how this is different is a metaphor, and it's one that I use in the free video series that's available at my website called Freedom from Overeating and Other Habits. So if you go to alexandraamor.com/start, you can have access to that. So if what I say today kind of piques your interest or leaves you, wanting to understand more, that might be a good place to start, because we dive in a little bit deeper. So this metaphor has to do with a beach ball. And we've all, maybe not everybody, but very often as children, we have those big inflatable beach balls. They're, bigger than a basketball. And the ones we had as a kid were rainbow colored. And something that was fun for us to do, we would throw them around and stuff at the lake as a child. But something else that was fun to do was sort of try to submerge them under the water when we were at the lake. And, you'd sit on it and it would pop back up. And it was, pretty tricky to try to get it to stay submerged under the water. And it took a lot of energy. It took a lot of balancing. It took a lot of just thinking about my center of gravity and how my weight was distributed, those kinds of things. So let me say that the other methodologies that we try when we're trying to get rid of an unwanted habit, the other strategies, the other approaches, things like willpower or maybe rewarding ourselves when we get through a day without eating a favorite food, or restricting favorite foods that we feel are problematic, or following a diet, for example, or depriving ourselves of the thing that we feel comforts ourselves or gives us that good, soothing feeling that we're searching for, whether it's cigarettes or soda pop or gambling, whatever it is that's giving us that feeling. We try to, cut ourselves off from that, deprive ourselves from that. And what that ends up being like is just like me trying to balance that or submerge that beach ball into the lake when I was a kid. So it is possible for a short period of time, and some people manage it for longer than that even. The thing is, though, that the beach ball is designed to not be submerged. It's not like a piece of concrete. It's filled with air. And so just the basic laws of physics have it wanting to pop back up to the surface of the water. So, in order to keep it submerged, and if this is a habit that we're trying to distance ourselves from, an unwanted habit, in order to keep that ball submerged, it takes a lot of energy. Like I explained at the beginning, it takes a lot of balance. It takes a lot of concentration. Like you can't really be doing anything else when you're pushing that beach ball under the water. You really have to be, that has to be your entire focus. You couldn't, say, for example, go for a swim at the same time as you're trying to submerge that ball. You couldn't, my brother and I used to chase each other in the water all the time when we were kids. Couldn't do that if you're at the same time as you're trying to submerge that beach ball under the water. So, yeah, those are sort of the main points. It takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of focus, concentration, and your concentration has to be kind of solely on that. When we come to this understanding, when we come to exploring unwanted habits from the perspective of the inside out understanding, what we're instead doing is not, we don't have to put that energy and attention on managing all those managing strategies about the beach ball or the unwanted habit. So, this approach isn't just another management technique like the ones we've used in the past. That's how it's very different. And it instead asks us to look in the direction of our innate well being, our innate wholeness, our innate resilience, and it asks us to see the unwanted habit not as a problem, but as a part of our as a part of the way that we are made, as a part of our divine engineering, which is what Mavis Karn calls us. She's a practitioner in this understanding. Amazing lady. Look her up if you have a chance. So, the way that we are designed as human beings is that these cravings that we experience and the cravings that then become habits, unwanted habits that we have, are actually a call from our innate well-being, from our innate health, trying to remind us about our true nature, which is one of wellness and wholeness and well-being. It is one that will return to equilibrium on its own. And very often what we're trying to do with an unwanted habit, like one of mine was sugar. I really loved sugar. And what I was trying to do was a couple things, I guess, was soothe myself, comfort myself because I felt some sort of disturbance within myself. And then also, without realizing it, I was trying to return myself to a state of equilibrium. And when we look in the direction of the inside out understanding, what we're looking toward is how all of those management strategies, all of that trying to, using an outside substance or an unwanted habit to return ourselves to equilibrium, are actually unnecessary. So all that activity with the beach ball, trying to keep it submerged, trying to keep that habit under control, is entirely unnecessary. And that's the difference between what I would call sort of the old paradigm of psychology approaches to this kind of habit versus the approach that we're looking at here. And unfortunately, 99% of our world is structured around management strategies, especially when it comes to unwanted habits. So exploring this understanding can feel a little bit unfamiliar. And I wanted to highlight the difference. And if you're brand new to this understanding, this may not quite land with you yet, but once you start to, maybe listen to other podcasts read other books and that kind of thing, it will start to settle in. You'll start to see the difference that I'm pointing to. So that's what I wanted to share today, because that was a big question that I had when I first started to, as I say, explore this understanding. So I'll leave you there for now. These Q&A episodes are going to be shorter than the main episodes on Thursdays, but I hope that you found that helpful. And you can find lots more information at my website, alexandraamor.com. Amor is spelled Amor. There's no E. It's the Latin spelling, not the Italian. And I'll be back every Monday to answer your questions, like I said. And for the next few Mondays, I'll be answering my own questions from a little while ago, but I hope that they will be just as helpful as if you had asked them. So thanks for tuning in. Take care. I'm sending you lots of love, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.